Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Beginner's Guide. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to teach you something interesting. Yes, I'm going to teach you how to make this COVID-19 tracker using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Remember, I'm not going to use React. First, I want you to learn JavaScript. For that, I'm going to teach you this project using purely JavaScript. So I'm going to make use of the API to get the current data about this COVID details in the globe. So this application is for the globe. It's not specifically for any country. Even if you want to find out the COVID statuses about your country, this application can be helpful. For example, let me just show you. If you want to find out the COVID cases in India, so this is the current cases, I mean the active cases, this is a death and this is a recovery. Then if you want to find out the COVID cases in Bangladesh, so this is active cases, this is a death cases, this is recovered. This is for the Bangladesh. If you want to know about the Pakistan, this is a one. If you want to know about the USA, so this is the details. For UK, this is a details. For New Zealand, this is a details. If you are from South Africa, this is the details. So I'm sure that you have noticed even there is a flag for each countries, and then there is an option here for me to filter. For example, when I just press S, if I want to filter them by total number of recoveries, it will filter. If I want to filter them from total number of deaths, it will filter all the countries with this. Yes, if I want to filter the countries with total number of cases, it would filter. So this is an application that we are going to be designing in this particular tutorial. Before we get started with this tutorial, please make sure to subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed the channel yet. Smash the like button in case if you like this tutorial. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to open my text editor. Inside, as I said, that I have three folders, three files. One is index.html with some basic boilerplate. Don't worry about the things that you can see them here. I will explain you what does that mean. Then I have the JavaScript file. At the moment there is nothing. And then I have the style sheet. I'm sure that you have noticed there is some basic stylings that are there. I have removed the basic margin and padding, and then I have set the box sizing to the border box. I have removed all the outline, and then I have used the font family to the pop-ins. So this is what is there in the style sheet. So let me go through the files that are there in the HTML. So here again there is nothing. What I have done, I have managed to link my style sheet. Then I'm going to use the Google fonts because I'm comfortable with using the pop-ins. So for that, what I have done, I'm going to my Google, go there, type Google fonts, then go to pop-ins. Then I have selected some fonts, then I have copied this link, then I have pasted that link into this HTML document. That's it. Then here there are some weird things I'm sure that you have noticed. Forget about these things, just come back here. This one I'm sure that you can understand. I've managed to link my main.js, which is nothing but my JavaScript file. I've tried to link that file into my HTML. This one is done. So the first one, as you can see them here, there is a promise, and this one is for the Axios. So what does that mean? So usually we use Axios in JavaScript to send the XML HTTP request to the browser. Since we are going to make use of the API, meaning you are going to call, you are going to get the data from somewhere. So for that we use JavaScript promises. So here I'm trying to use JavaScript promises together with Axios. So usually this Axios is a promise-based HTTP client for the JavaScript, which can be used in your front-end application, as well as if you have got the backend. Maybe I'm sure that some of you have got Node.js installed in your machine. If you want to use this Axios for the backend, it can be used. So basically, we use these Axios together with the promises to send and receive the XML HTTP request from the browser. So for us to use the Axios, there are two ways actually that can be used. One, if you have installed the Node.js in your machine, so you can go to the terminal, you can go to the new terminal, and then here you can install the node package manager with an Axios. For example, you can use node package manager command. Sorry, here you can just use npm node package manager as a command, then followed by you can use the Axios so that it can install the dependencies for the Axios. So for that, what you need to do, you can just type install and then Axios. So what is going to do? So this one is going to download all the libraries for you to work with the Axios. Then that one will create a folder as a node package manager in your particular project. There is another way. You can install npm install Axios so that it can install the dependencies that you need to work with an Axios. Together you need to install the promises, same like npm install promises, which can help us to install the promises where we can able to communicate between the actual API. Otherwise, you can simply use the CDNs. What I have done them here is, I don't want to install the npm. Let me just close this part. I don't want to install the npm. Instead, I want to use the CDN. If you want to use the CDN, there is a lot of websites that can provide you the CDNs. But here I have got the CDN from the JS Deliver website. You go there, go to this JS Deliver website. So actually this is a nice website where you can get the CDNs for various JavaScript libraries. For example, as you can see them here, jsdeliver.com. Here are free CDN for open sources like jQuery and some CSS library. All those things can be accessed from this particular website. For example, now I am trying to look for the npm CDN for the Axios. For that, just type Axios, hit enter. So here you can see the Axios. So what I was looking for them here is an npm. There is a different options here, but specifically I was looking for an npm. So click here, it will take us to the next page. So if you can come here down, so here as I say that there is, if you want to use the npm, you can just use this command so that it can install it for you, or you can just use the CDNs. As you can see them here, copy this one and then paste them. So there are two ways, right? So that's what I have done here, as you can see them here. So this is for the promise, because Axios can be used together with the promise. So you have to use the CDN for the promise. Same, what you can do, instead of typing the Axios, you can type promise, go there, click the npm there, come down, so that this is a one way if you want to install. Otherwise, you can use the script source. So you can just copy them and then you can paste them here. So there are two things here. The one thing is for the minified version and then auto version. So you can use anything. Actually, it's an ES6 version, because promise is the ES6 concept. I'm sure that if you have learned JavaScript, you know what is ES6, right? So I hope things are clear. So these two is the CDN for the promise. This one is a CDN for the Axios. Then the last one is a CDNs for the smooth scroll. What do I mean to say smooth scroll? If you go to the actual application that I have created, so here there is up arrow and down arrow. When I click this one, there is some smooth arrow. I'm sure that you have noticed, right? It's moving smoothly up and down. For this one, I have used the library called smooth CDN for that. So what you can do, just go for the Google. So type them here, smooth scroll CDN, hit enter, go here, the first link, maybe get the minified version, copy the script tag, and then go to your browser, paste them here. So it will enable us to have the smooth scroll between in our application actually, right? As you can see them here, there is some smooth scrolling effect here, as you can see them here. So this one can be done with the help of that CDN name called that smooth scroll, right? So this application that I have designed is fully responsive. When I say fully responsive, you can even go to the mobile version, it can still work. As you can see them here, it's a small screen, but still it's fully responsive. You can still see the data of each of those countries. Each countries, it has got the cases, deaths, and recovers. This country, France, has got the cases, deaths, recover. So when I expand the screen, you will see it will become like a table now, right? It is in the table format. So this is what we are going to be designing. This is what I'm going to be teaching you in this tutorial. If you're excited, let's get started. Before that, let me show you something. Before we load this application, I have some preloader. Let me refresh the browser so that you can see the preloader. As you can see them here, initially there was a preloader, right? So let us start with a preloader so that we would design all these things together. So I'm going to my body section. So here I'm going to create the div with a class name called preloader. So again here I'm going to create another div with a class name called preloader, followed by I'm going to create another div with a class name called preloaded text saying that loading. So here I'm going to say loading. I think let me just save and open with my browser so that we can see them side by side. As you can see them here, there is a text saying loading. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create another div here with a class name called container. So inside I'm going to have another class name called statistics. So here I'm going to create another div with a class name called globu. So within this globu class, I'm going to create another div. I'm going to give the title now. So I'm going to create a class name called globu title. So here is a place I'm going to give the title, that is COVID-19. Right. So after the title, we need to have the cases, right? So total number of cases, total number of deaths, total number of recovered. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another div name called global cases. So inside I'm going to have the just heading 1. So this heading 1 will have nothing because the information will be displayed based on the API. Then again I'm going to have the H2. So here is going to say total cases, and then I'm just going to do the same for the other things. So this one is a cases. I'm going to create another div with a class name called global deaths. So inside the global death we are going to have H1 tag, where we are going to get the details from the API, and then H2 tag, where it's going to say total number of deaths, or maybe just I would say deaths. Then the next one I'm going to create the class name called recovered. So within this class I'm going to have H1, where we are going to get the information from the API, and then I'm going to create a H2 tag. This one is going to say a total recovered, right? Hope everything is clear as for now. Then from here I'm going to have the text box where we are going to enter the details for us to search the information. So for now what I'm going to do, so here let me create the input. So this input box is going to have the ID. Let me set the ID to search, and then I'm just going to give the name as country. Then I want to set the placeholder, because the placeholder would say search countries. Then we need to put the options, because we have to allow the user to select the options. For that I'm going to use the select tab. Let me give the class for this select tab. So I would say custom select, and then let me give the ID for the same. I will say select as an ID. So inside this select option we are going to have the options. So initially I want to set the value to selected. Let me say option selected. Initially is going to be now, because we are not going to be selected anything, and then I want to use the property as disable. It's also is going to be null. Then it's going to show the option as sort by, and then I hope you understand what I mean, right? So when you go to the options, you can say there is a text box saying select countries. Then there is a box, initially it says sort by, initially it's nothing. Then when I click this down arrow, these three things should come, right? So for that I'm going to create another options. So here value is going to be cases. So this one is going to be inside. I'm just going to pass the message saying total active cases. I'm just going to do the same for the rest of the things. And then remember, we want to display the data as a table. If you have noticed, our data are displayed in a table format, as you can see them here. So I'm going to create the table here. I'm going to give the class for this table. The class will be, let me just call this one as a table. So inside we need to have the table head. Within the table head, we are going to have the table row. Within the table row, we are going to have the table head details. The first one is a country. Another table head is cases. Maybe I would say active cases. And then the third one is total deaths. And then the next one is total recoveries. Then we need to have the table body, where we are going to display the data, right, according to the rows. So this one would be there on the top, then followed by, we are going to have the table body. I'm sure that we are good now. So we are not going to have anything, because for the table body, we will get the data from the API, because we don't know the active cases and the deaths and the recover from each of the countries. Then I think we are good. Then we need to create these arrows to have the scrolling between up and down. So what I'm going to do, so here let me create the div with a class name called arrow. So within this arrow class, we need to have two things, up arrow and down arrow. So I'm going to create another class name called arrow up, and then I'm just going to have another div with a class name called arrow down. I think as for now, we are done with the HTML part. I think so. Let me save and refresh so that you will see how does this one would look like. Okay, I think we are good. So just that we can't be able to see the actual data, because we need to get that information from the API. Otherwise, this is initially for the loader. When we design a bit, it won't come. Only it will come when we load the page. Then COVID-19 tracker is the heading. Then total active cases, deaths, and total recovered cases. Select countries, where we are going to select, sort by total active cases, total death, total recoveries. So this is a table heads. As you can see them here, then we will have the table data. When you style this part, I'm sure that this part would look nice, right? I hope everything is clear as for now. Now let us move into the style sheet part. I think for the CSS part, with the interest of time, I'm not going to explain you, because the focus is on the JavaScript part, on how to create this COVID-19 tracker. So what I'm going to do, let me just scroll through this CSS. In case if you need my styling, you can just pause the video so that you can type this code that I have typed them here. So let me do this. Let me scroll them bit by bit so that you can able to type the codes. Pause the video and type the things. I have used the media screen property just to make sure that the application that we are designing is a responsive one. So otherwise, nothing much, everything is a basic styling. I hope you can do it on your own, but if you want to follow mine, still you can pause the video and type these codes that I have done here. Okay, this is the end of the style sheet. This is actually a very basic style sheet. When you pass the video, I'm sure that you can understand everything is in detail. You can even able to understand what I have done. So when I run this one, initially you will see my loader is just loading. I can't even able to see anything, because at the end of this loading, I have to see the actual site, actual design that I am going to do. So this one is just keep on loading, just because if you have noticed one thing in the styling for the preloader, I have said that it's going to be loading infinite times. Yes, the animation is going to spin every after 2 seconds. Is going to be linear infinite, so it's going to be keep on loading. So it needs to be stopped. When is it going to be stopped? As soon as we see the actual application. If you want to see the actual application, we need to work with the JavaScript so that we can able to see the actual data. So for that, we are going to start working on the JavaScript. I hope now you are ready. This is our index.html file. In case if you have missed something, here we go. this is our HTML that we have created. I've just changed some names here: total cases, total deaths, total recoveries, country, cases, deaths, and recovered. So I've just changed some labels here in case if you got confused. Otherwise, everything was just the same, right? Then I have included the event name called onChange. Then there is a method onChangeOver. I mean, it's a function. We are going to be calling them in our JavaScript. Maybe that's the only difference that you have seen them here. Apart from the labels that I have just changed them for the sake of styling, right? COVID-19 tracker, total cases, total deaths, total recovers. So only thing that I have included here in the JavaScript, here in the HTML part is I have just included the onChange event. So this event is going to call this function. So this function, we are going to create them in our JavaScript. Otherwise, the rest of the things, they are just same. I hope everything is clear. Now let us work with the JavaScript part. So for that, let me add the command so that you will know what I'm going to do. So here I'm going to add the request interceptor using the Axios. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the keyword Axios.interceptors.request method. So this method, inside what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have the function, and then I'm going to pass the configuration as a parameter. So this function is going to return the configuration, right? Then in case if there is no configuration, it has to return an error. So I'm going to create another function. So I'm going to pass the error as a parameter, so that in case if there is an error, is going to return the error. So for that, we are going to use the preloader that we have created in the CSS part. I'm going to use the class list add function. In that case, I want to hide the preloader. So for that, preloader, so there is an error because it needs to be separated with a comma, or I can send the alert message for the error, as well as I can return the promise saying the request has been rejected. For that, return, I'm going to take the promise, that promise is a rejected one, then it's going to return the error. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a variable. I'm going to call this variable as a preloader. So this preloader variable is going to have the information from the class preloader. So for that, I'm going to use the document.query selector method. So here we need to pass the class name that we have set them for the preloader. I hope you remember the preloader is the class name. In case if you have forgotten, go to the HTML. So have the class name as preloader. So this is what I am trying to target, because that preloader has to be loaded only before the application. Once the application is been loaded, that one has to be disappeared, right? So now the next thing, here is the request interceptor. This one is for the request interceptor. What about for the response interceptor? For that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same. Axios dot interceptor dot, instead of request, now I'm going to use the response dot use as a method. So within the use method, I'm going to have the function. So this function is going to take the parameter as a response. Then this response is going to give us the response, right? So when you have the response, that preloader has to be hidden. For that, I'm going to use the preloader dot class list method dot, I'm going to add the preloader hidden. Now it should return the response. I hope everything is clear up to this point. Otherwise, if there is any error, so I'm going to have another function which can return the error in case if there is no response. So for that, I'm just going to say preloader dot class list dot add method. So inside I'm just going to pass the same message. So let me just copy and paste this. Preloader error. What is an error here? Okay, there is two double quotes here. Let me remove this part. Right. Then otherwise, it's going to return an error, as I said. Then we can still send the alert message. saying it's an error, as well as we can return a promise saying it has been rejected. So return promise dot reject, the rejected message will be an error. Alright, I hope everything is clear up to this point. What we have done so far, we have added the request interceptor, and then here we are trying to get the response interceptor. Now according to our design, if you have noticed, we have to give the global data where the total number of deaths, total number of recoveries, total number of cases up to now, as well as we are trying to get the details countrywide. For example, if you want to check the COVID cases for the country India, you can still able to get it, right? So for that, we're just going to make use of the API. As I said, that that API is going to provide us the details about the COVID situation throughout the globe. For that, there are different APIs that can be used, but the API that I want to use them is from this website named called disease.sh. This is actually a really good website where we can get the COVID details, but there are different APIs that can be used. If you're comfortable with using different ones, you can still use them. There is no issues on that. But for this project, I'm going to use the API from this website named called disease.sh. So when you go up there, there are different details that you can be accessed from this particular website, COVID-19 history. So when you go there, this link will provide the history about the COVID-19. So this is COVID-19 worldwide. So this one would give us the details about the worldwide details of the COVID-19. So if you want to find out the COVID details in the country USA, so you can click this link so that it can give you the details. In this case, I am interested in the global data. So for that, I have to go to the COVID-19 worldwide. So here is the link. So this is a link that I am going to use to get the details from this particular website. So in case if you click this link, you will see a nicely formatted JSON string here. I'm sure that for you, you won't see such, you won't see like this. Maybe you will see the raw data like this. In case if you want to see the nicely formatted JSON string, you have to install the JSON viewer for your browser. In this case, I am using Chrome. So I have installed the JSON viewer for the Chrome browser. I'm sure that if you have watched my tutorial for the weather application, you know how to install the JSON viewer for the Chrome application. In case if you are interested, I will add the card on the top of this video so that you can able to access. So when I click this one, so this is the data that I am going to get. So as you can see them here, this is updated cases. So this is a cases, this is today's cases, this is a death, this is a today's death, this is a recovered cases, this is a today recovered cases, this is an active case, this is a critical cases. So this one would provide the data about the COVID-19 in the globe, across the globe, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this link so that I can able to get the data for the globe. Then if you want to get these data, what you need to do, you need to add this link into your actual JavaScript so that you can have the access to this particular data, right? So for that one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a function here. So this function, I'm going to call them as a get global data. Anything is it's up to you. So I'm just going to name this one as a get global data. Since this get global data is going to provide us the COVID-19 information for the globe. So for that one is going to return Axios dot, I'm going to use the get method. Here I'm not going to use the fetch method. Instead, I'm going to use the get method. So within this get method, I'm going to paste the link that I have copied from the particular website, right? So it's going to give us the details about the death cases, active cases, and recovered cases across the globe. What if I want to get the details about a particular country? Because in our application, I'm sure that you have noticed, we can able to get the details for each countries, right? Let me show you. So if you can notice one thing, yes, of course, this details on top, this for the globe, right? So this is the total number of cases across the world, deaths, and total number of recoveries. But in case if you want to find out the details about the particular country, still we can able to find out, right? So when you type India, so it will give you the details about the India. When you type USA, it will give you the details about the USA. When you give the input as Bangladesh, you are still going to find out the number of cases that are found in the Bangladesh, right? So this one will give us the details about each of the countries, right? So this link, when I use them, or is going to give us the details about the globe. What if I want to get the details about a particular country? So in that case, is there any way that I can use? I'm sure that you have noticed, I have showed you in this same website, COVID-19 USA. When you click that one, so as you can see them here, when you click this link, it is going to take us to this next page, where it's going to give us the details about the active cases and number of deaths and number of recovered cases in the country USA, right? In case if you want to find out the details about another country, what you can do, instead of this link, instead of USA, let me type this one as an India. I hope you have noticed when I say it was USA before, so no wonder that this country name was USA. So now I have typed them as an India. Now you should be able to see the details for India. So any country, if you want to find out, just pass that message. So what if I want to find out the COVID cases about different countries? So all you can do is copy this link, then come to your code here. So I'm going to create another function. So this one, get country data. So this one is for the globe. So this one is specifically for each of those countries that we are going to have them. So I'm going to use the same method, return.axios.get method. Inside, I'm going to pass the link that I have copied. So in this case, I need to find out the COVID cases for different countries, not just for an India, right? So all you need to do is just remove this part so that it will remain as a country. So any countries, if you want to find out the COVID cases about any countries, this link can be used. There is an error here, so there is no dot here. Return axios.get method. I hope everything is clear, right? Now we are just going to use the Axios, then we have got .all method. I hope you know. So this .all method, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make use of these two functions that I have created them here. The first one is get global data, where I can get the death cases, recovered cases and the active cases, as well as I'm going to make use of this function where I can get the data for each individual country. So for that, what I'm going to do, in this OR method, I'm going to pass this data as an array. So the first method is a get global data. Let me copy this one and paste. The second one is get countries data, right? So comma, just copy and paste them here. I hope this one is clear. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use .then method. So this .then method, what is going to do, I'm going to use the Axios I'm going to use the spread method. This Axios is going to take the spread method, then inside is going to take the function as a parameter. So this function is going to take two parameters. First one is, let me say, since we are going to get the global data, so first parameter is a global data, and then we are going to get the countries, right? So let me call this one as a countries. So here I need to, since it's a function, I have to use this opening and closing curly braces. So inside, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to get the data for the globe and we are trying to get the data for the country, right? When you go to the browser, actually this is a data for the country India, right? So in case if I want to find out for the countries, just leave it as country, hit enter. As you can see them here, we have got different countries. First one is in Afghanistan. So this is like an array of objects. So this particular API with the details of array of objects. So there is an array. Within that array, there is a different kind of object. Each object will have the information about each countries, right? For example, the first object has got the information about the country Afghanistan. Then there is a country info where this is a unique ID for the country. So this is an ISO2, ISO3, longitude, latitude. This is a flag. I'm sure that in our actual application, as I showed you, every country has got the flags. So where are we going to get? We are going to make use of these links where it can provide us the flag. So when I click this one, you would see actually this is a flag for the Afghanistan, right? So we are going to make use of this array of object to get the details about each of these countries. So this is for the Afghanistan. When you just scroll down, you will see the different countries. This is Algeria. The data that we are trying to access them is an array of object. I hope you know how to access the data from an array, because array is an index based. So I hope you know how to access the data from an array. So for that, what I'm going to do, in my Axios, I'm just going to create 3 variables. I'm going to call them as a const. Let me call this one as a total cases. So here I'm going to use globu, the parameter that I have passed them here, globu dot, I want to get the data from that globu dot cases dot to locally string method. So what is the use of this to locally string method? I hope you know. This to locally string method will convert the data object into a string, right? So that's the reason why we are going to use this method. So same thing, I'm going to create another 2 more variables to get the details for the countries, as well as we are going to get the details for the recovered cases. For that, what I'm going to do, let me create the variable. So this is for the cases. In case if you want to get the details about the deaths, so here I'm going to say total deaths, where we are going to get the details about the deaths. So here I'm going to say globu dot data dot, here instead of cases, here we are going to have the deaths, right? So what do I mean to say deaths? Let me even show you to locally string method. So when I say we are going to get the details about the cases and the deaths using the API, so here let me show you. Here is for the country. So when I say O, I hope I have the link for the O. So okay, here as you can see them here, there is a cases where we are going to get the total number of COVID cases. Here there is a death where we are going to get the total number of deaths across the globe. Here is a recovered. So this is a recovered cases across the globe. So if you want to access, if you want to have the access about these particular objects, what you need to do, so whole thing we can call them as a data. Within this data, I don't want to have everything, but I just want to have the number of cases, deaths and recovered cases. So only those details that we are looking for in this particular object. That's the reason why if you want to look for the cases, target the cases. That's the reason why I had put data.cases. Among those data, what I am interested is in the cases, right? The next one is, the next data that I am interested in is the deaths. The next data that I am interested in is what is the next data that you want to know? The recovered cases, right? So create a variable. So call this one as a total, maybe recovered, or whatever the name that you want to give them. Let me say recovered as a variable. So how can you get the data? Same, globu dot data dot, where are you going to get the recovered data? Exactly from this recovered, right? So this is what you need to refer them here. So copy them and paste them here, so that it would give you the details about the recovered cases across the string dot to local string. In case instead of using recovered, as you can see them here, because this data has been referred to recovered, right? So in case if you use, instead of using recovered, what if you use just recover? It's not going to give you the data, because you have to use exactly the same JSON method, the key that we have used them in the API. If you, instead of cases, if you just use case, it's not going to give you the data, because this data belongs to the, this is a value, this is a key. So this value belongs to the key cases. So you have to pass the exact key for each of the details that you want to pull from this particular website using API. I hope everything is clear up to this point, right? Now the next thing is what you need to do, you have to assign these values. So in order to assign this value, what you can do, I'm just going to use this method. I'm going to say document dot get element by class name. I'm sure that you have noticed we have the class name there, name called globu cases. In case if you have forgotten, let me show you. So because these headings H1, H2, here also H1, H1, we left them blank because we are going to get the total number of cases, deaths and recovered cases from the API. So if you want to fill this heading with a global number of cases, deaths and recovered, what you need to do, you have to refer this particular class names that you have created them here for each of these fields. So I'm just going to say my main function. So here this is the name of the class. So this class, I'm going to get the values from the 0th index, because as I say that the information that we have stored them there is an array. So I'm just going to access the 0th indexed value dot, I'm going to use the child nodes method. So this child node method is going to take the first array. I'm going to target the first child from that array, then dot, I want to display them using inner HTML property, because I want to display these messages into the HTML, because I hope you have seen that I left these H1 fields blank because we are going to get the details from the API. So this is the details that I am getting from the API. Now I want to display these things into our HTML page. For that, what I'm going to do, equals, I'm just going to display this one as a total cases into this first variable. I'm going to do the same for the next these two variables, so that we can able to get the total number of cases, total number of deaths, total number of recovered cases across the globe. So let me do the same. So inside here, I just have to change the name of the variables. So this one is not total cases, this is a total deaths. So this one is total recovery. So even here I have to change the name of the classes. So what is the class for the death? Global deaths. Copy, come and paste them here, and then for the recoveries, global recovered. Right. So these are all the variables. Now we have managed to get the details about the cases, deaths recovered across the globe. Right. Now what we are remaining with is we need to find out the total number of cases, deaths, and the recoveries from each of these countries. So now it can give us the details about the globe. Now how are we going to find out the details in each countries? For that, I'm just going to do the same. So let me create 3 variables for the countries. So I can call this one as a, remember I want to display this information as a table, as you can see them in the result. This information I want to display them as a table. So why do I want to display them? I want to display them like a table body. I hope you have remembered. We have the table body here, we have created the table. So this table body, so that is where I want to display this particular information about each of these countries. So for that, I'm just going to create the constant variable as a table body, and then I want to refer to document dot get element by tag name. I want to target the element with a tag name called table body. So in that case, T body is the tag name. Then I want to target the first array, I mean the 0th index. Now I'm going to create another variable, const. I'm going to call this one as countries. So I'm going to call this one as a countries. So this countries variable, what we are going to do, we are just going to get the data from that countries dot data. So what I mean to say countries dot data. So here, as I say, that when you say all, it's going to get the details about all. So if you want to get the data for the countries, we are going to the countries. So this is the data. So these are all the data actually we are trying to access, right? So that is the reason why I've created the variable here, variable country, countries dot data. Then from there, I'm going to use the for each method, because this is an array of object. If you want to display the details for different countries, if you want to display the details for the different countries, you have to loop through all the objects from this particular array, right? So if you want to loop through all the objects in this particular array, there are different array methods that can be used. So for this example, I'm going to use the for each array method, so that you can loop through all the elements of that particular array, right? So let me do this. I'm going to say countries dot for each as a method. I hope you know for each method would take 3 parameters. First one is the value, second one is the index of an array, third one is the array itself, the name of the array itself. So here in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pass a function. So this function is going to take 3 parameters. First one is an element, or we can say it's a value. Second one is an index of an array. Third one is the array itself, right? So inside, what we are going to have now, if you can see them here in the details of the country and cases and deaths and recovered cases, we have managed to display them in a table, right? So every row of the table has got the details about each countries. So for that, what I'm going to do, I hope you still remember about the JavaScript DOM. If you want to create a new element, we use the method name as create element method in order to create a new element. So that is what we are going to make use of them, so that the details of the countries will be displayed in a table format. So for that, I'm going to create a variable name called const. I'm just going to call this one as a table row because I want to display the information in a row. So here I'm going to make use of the JavaScript DOM object, where I'm going to create a new element. So in order to create a new element, I hope you still remember, all we need to do is document dot create element method, create, so that it will create an element. So the element that I want to create them here is a table row, because I want to display the data as a row. So from here, okay, we use for each method, it will loop through the entire array of this country. As you can see them here, it will loop through all the details from this array of object, but we just need few details. We not necessarily we are going to loop through all the details. Let's say I just want to print the name of the country together with the name of the flag. I'm sure that you can see them here, though we are going to display the details in a row, but this row has got only few details. First one is we have the flag for each of the country name, flag for the country, then we have got the cases, death details, recovered cases. But if you can notice this particular website, it has got a lot of information about each country. Afghanistan, there is a country info, there is an ID for the country info, which we have not used to them. So there is an ISO 3, latitude, longitude, and then the flag. And then here, if you can come them here, cases, today cases, death, today deaths, recovered, total, active. There is a lot of information. Not necessarily we are going to display every details for each of the country. We are just going to specify only few things, like we are going to come up with a flag for the country, name of the country, followed by the cases, deaths, and recovered. These are all the only details that we are looking into display, right? So for that, what I'm going to do, instead of looping through all the information, I just want to loop through only specific data. First one, let's say the first detail is I want to display the flag, the image, right? If you want to display the flag or an image, all you need to do is, so let's say this one is for the flags. So here, what we are going to do, I'm just going to create a variable called img. So this image, we are going to target, we are going to create an element name called img. So for that, document dot create element. So the element that we are trying to create them is an image. So what does that mean, image? We are trying to target this particular image here, this flag image, right? So this is what we are trying to target. So for that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create an element. I'm going to call this one as an img. So now this img, the image that I'm going to get them, the source of the image is, what is the source of the image? The source of the image is this one, flag, isn't it? So here is the source of the image. This is where I'm going to get the flag. In case if I don't get the flag, I can display the alternative message as this ISO 2 or ISO 3 as a properties. I hope you get me right. Just like the normal way that we use image property. If you have the image, it will display the image. In case if you don't have the image, we can display something as an alternative message, isn't it? So this is what exactly we are going to do them here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to target the element that I have created them here, image. Then the source of that image is, what is the source of the image? Source of the image is element dot, then I'm going to use the method name as country info. Why there is a country info? Because the image is here in this flag is part of the country info. So if you want to get the access of this flag, you have to go through the object of country info. That is the reason why I have to go through the country info. Then from that country info, I'm going to get the access of the flag. So what I can do, I can just copy this country info. Remember, this name has to be exactly same as this key here in the JSON. So copy, come here, paste. Then from there, what you want to access? You want to access the flag, right? So make sure that the spellings are same, that you can see them here. If it is an uppercase, it has to be an uppercase. Let me copy and paste. I hope it's clear. So what does that mean? So the source of the image is coming from the website that we are trying to refer them here, right? So I hope this one is clear. Now we can able to get the image. What if in case if there is a no image, in case if there is an error, we can display some alternative message, right? Image dot alternative, I would say. So the alternative is, I can say element dot, same, I'm going to the country info dot. So in case if there is no image here, if there is any error of fetching this image, we can display this AF for the country code for the Afghanistan, right? So ISO2, ISO2. I hope it's clear, right? So in case if it fails to load the image, it's going to give us the country code as for the each country. Actually, in that case, it's an Afghanistan. If there is a different country, it would give us the country code for that particular country, right? Now I'm going to set the attribute, image.set attribute. So this set attributes, I'm going to set them as a type2 because I need to have the type2, comma, I'm going to say element dot country info dot ISO2, right? Now we need to get the values, isn't it so? What does that mean, values? The values for the image, value for the alternate message, value for the title. For that, I'm going to create a variable const. I can call this one as a values. So the values for this one is an array. So this array is going to have element dot country. We are going to get the information for the country, comma. The next one is we are going to have element dot. We are going to get the cases, comma. We are going to get element dot. We are going to get the deaths. Finally, we are going to get the recovered cases, right? So it is recovered. So this is an array of data that we are looking for. So now what I am going to do, I just want to loop through this particular, because this is an array as we know already. So if I want to get the details for the different countries, I hope I already mentioned, we have to loop through all the objects in this particular array, because this object is specifically for the country Afghanistan. What if I want to find out the COVID cases in India, for example? If I want to find out the COVID cases for USA, you have to go through, you have to loop through all the details, all the objects in this particular array, right? So if you want to loop through all the objects in this particular array, what is the procedure? The procedure is simple. I'm sure that there is a lot of for loops that can be used. For example, you can use the map method, for each method, filter method. There is a lot of array methods. I hope I have taught you in the previous session. Now, if you want to use, or if you want to loop through, you can use any as I mentioned, but for this one, I'm going to use the for each method to loop through each elements in this particular array. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get these values. I'm going to use the for each method. I hope you remember, for each method would take 3 parameters. The first parameter is an element, or we can say it's a value. The second parameter is an index of an array, and then the third parameter is an array itself. So what I'm going to do here, values dot for each, I'm going to have the function inside. So this function, as I said, is going to take 3 parameters. First one is an element. Then what is the second one? The second one is an index. What is the third one? Third one is an array itself. So this function, what I am going to do inside, so this function, let's say I want to display the data into that row that I have created, because yes, of course, we have created the rows like this. Now in these rows, we need to display the data. If you want to display the data, what is the procedure? That display data is nothing but the table data, right? I hope if you can refer the HTML page, you would know what is table data. Table data is the data that we are going to display them in the particular table. So for that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create another variable. Let me call this one as a const. I'm going to create a variable name as td that refers the table data. So if you want to display the data in a table, you have to create an element for you to display the data in the table. So for that, I'm going to use the document dot create element method. So this create element is nothing but table data. So I have to say td because I want to display the details in the table data, right? So that's the reason why I have used create element method with td. So inside, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say element equals I'm going to use the validation. So this validation, I'm going to check whether if it is a number. So I'm going to use isNumber method. Then it's going to take element as a parameter, and then I'm going to check whether it is equals to or not as a number, NaN. Then here what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the conditional operator to check the condition. If you want to use the conditional operator, I'm sure that you know the syntax. I'm going to use question mark element, then colon element dot to locally string method to convert the data object into a string, and then I'm going to use the if condition. That if condition is going to check whether if it is not equals to index, then I'm going to say I'm going to create a variable as a text. Let me call this one as a text equals, I'm going to say document dot create text text node. I want to create the text node because I need to attach this one to the table data. So this text node is going to be the same element. Then that element I want to append them to the table data, right? So td append child method. So this is a data that I want to append them to the table data. The first one is an image. The second one is a text. Text is nothing but the name of the country that I want to append. So append child method again. So we are trying to append the text so that the particular name of the country will be displayed together with the name of the flag, flag, or else we are just going to say td dot inner HTML. I'm just going to display the element, right? I hope it's clear. Then the next one is I need to append the data to the row, each row. So for that I'm going to say table row tr dot append child method. So this append child method is going to append the table data, and then I'm going to have the table body where I'm going to append child. Here the append child is I'm going to append the table row. So in short, we are just trying to use the JavaScript DOM object to append the data into a particular table that we have created. I hope this one is just simple if you have known about the JavaScript DOM, right? So the next thing is, in case if there is no response, we have to display the error, right? So for that I'm going to use, this is, if everything is okay, this one is going to work. In case if there is an error, I'm going to catch that error using the catch method. Then this catch method is going to have the function. So this function would display the error in case if there is no response. So if you want to find out the error, you can just console log. In case if you don't get the response from that particular site, it is going to display as an error. If you want, you can just console log it, right? I hope this one is clear. Then the next one is we need to validate, because I hope you remember in the actual design, we are trying to filter the countries based on the dates, number of active cases, and number of recoveries. In case if you want to filter the data, you have to apply some validations in this table feed so that it can filter the data of countries that you want to find out the number of deaths and total recoveries and total cases. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a simple validation. So for that validation, I'm just going to create a variable. Let me call this one as a let. I'm going to call this one as a validation. So this validation, I'm going to check whether if it is a number. This is an anonymous function, so I'm going to use the function. So this function, I'm going to pass a parameter as a string str in this case. So inside, I'm just going to create variable. I'm going to check the pattern, so I'm just going to create a variable as pat. Then equals, since it's a regular expression, so you have to use 2 forward slashes. Within the 2 forward slashes, I'm going to check the condition. I'm just going to use this exponential symbol, so meaning there is nothing before this. That is what it means. I hope if you know the regular expression, you know. So slash d means we are trying to check the combinations of number and the lowercase and uppercase letter. Then I'm going to concatenate with a dollar, as well as here I'm going to use the G means global tag. So what does that mean? It can be used globally. right? It's going to check everywhere. So if it is true, I'm just going to use the return method. This return method is the pattern dot I'm going to use the test of string. So this is simple regular expression to check the pattern. So if this pattern is matches, it's going to filter the data according to this particular pattern. So now what I'm going to do, finally, I'm going to create a variable for the search item, because I want to search according to the country. So here I'm going to use document dot get element by ID. So the ID here is a search. I hope you remember we have created the ID in our HTML part name called search. So this ID, because we want to search according to the country, so I'm trying to target this search ID. So here I want to just use the add event listener method. So this add event listener method, I'm going to use the key up event, and then this key up event is going to call a function. So this function, what we can do, we can create a variable. Let me create a variable as value. So this value, I'm going to use this dot the value that I'm talking about, and then I'm going to use two lowercase method. I hope you know what is the use of two lowercase method. It will convert the uppercase into lowercase. Whatever the letter that you have, by default it is going to convert them into a lowercase. These are simple JavaScript function, I hope you know. Then from here I'm going to create another variable. Let me call this one as a const for the rows of data. So this rows of data, I'm going to use document dot query selector method. Let me use the query selector all. So this query selector all, I'm going to target the table body together with the table row, because I want to display the data into the table, because I need to filter them, right? So then the next one is, let me create another variable. I call this one as a rows array. So this rows array, what I am going to do, I am going to use the prototype method, a slice method. The use of slice method is going to slice the data. For example, if you want to just filter the country India, it's just going to get that country India from the whole country list, right? So for that we can use the method name called slice method. I hope you know what is the use of slice method. Slice method, usually we use them to slice the portion of data from the entire array, right? That's the use of slice method. So that is what I'm going to make use of them here, so that I can get the specific country that I'm looking for. So array.prototype.slice method. Then now rows array.for each method, so that it can go through all the data from the table. Then it will slice the country that I'm looking for, right? So for each is going to take the function. This function will have three parameters, as I said earlier. So the three parameters, the first one I would call this as an element, second one I can call them as an index, third one would be an array. So we want them to slice the country. For example, var td, let me call this one as a country. From the table data, I just want to slice the country. So if you want to slice the country, say element dot child nodes 0, because it's an array, so the 0th index dot inner HTML property to lowercase method. Then from there, maybe we need to check the condition. If td country, the table data country dot index of method, I hope you know what is the use of index of method, and then I'm going to pass the value. So if this value is greater than -1, because index of method will return the index of the element. In case if that data is not found in the particular array, is going to return -1, right? If there is an element, if there is a particular value in that entire array, is going to return the actual index of that particular array. That's the reason why I have said that -1. What does that mean? That data must be there in the table, right? That's what it means. So here I'm going to write the statement saying element dot class node list, class list dot remove, and then I want to say this one as a hidden, or else I'm just going to display element dot class list dot I'm going to add them to hidden, right? I hope everything is clear for now. Now we need to just write a function for changing the order. I'm sure that you remember in the change in the HTML I have created the on change event with a function name called change order. So what is the use of this change order? So that when I type the first letter of the country, it can filter the data based on the dates, recoveries and the cases. So for that I am going to create a function a name called change order. We just copy and paste so that I won't change the actual name of the function. So it has to be exactly same name as this. So this function, let me create a variable. Let me say let value. So this value I'm going to get them from document dot get element by ID. So this ID is, I hope you remember, the select is an ID that I have created, and then I'm going to get the values, whatever the values that will be entered in that field, I'm going to collect them. Then I'm going to collect let me say index. Here I'm going to say document dot get element by ID again. This one is also going to be select. Now I'm going to use the selected index method. So what do I mean to say select? We are going to filter the data based on the information that we enter into this particular input box. That's the reason why I want to target that ID name called select, because I want to filter the country names based on the first letter. For example, when I say U, it's going to filter the data. Whatever the country that has got the U as a letter in that country name is going to filter. So that is what exactly we are trying to do them here. So now go there. So let me create a variable. I can call this variable as a const. I can call this one as a rows. Document dot query selector all method. So this query selector all method is going to target the table body and then the table row, right? Because we want to filter them, the table body together with the table row, because if you want to filter the country, even the data for that particular country needs to be changed, right? Then from there we can just create another variable. I would call this variable as rows array. So this rows array, I'm going to use an array method so that it can loop through array.prototype. Let me use the slice method again. So this slice method is going to slice the information for the table row and the table data. So this slice method dot call dot what is going to call them is a row, because I want to slice the information for the rows, right? I hope this one is clear. Then let me call this one as a rows array. Let me use the array method, sort array method, so that I can sort them, because I want to sort them, because as you can see then if I enter the first letter, it's going to sort the words which has got that particular letter, right? So I'm going to use the sort method. It's going to take the function. So that function, let me pass two parameters. Let me call the parameter as a comma b. So inside what I'm going to have, I'm going to create a variable. Let me call this one as a num1. So this one is a dot child nodes, then it's going to have the index, and then I want to display them into the inner HTML, right? Now num1, I'm going to use dot num1 dot replace method. Sorry, there is two num1 dot replace method. So this replace method, okay, what we can do, num1, okay, let us do this one. Num1 equals num1 dot, we want to replace the empty string. So let me create another variable for num2. Here I'm going to say p dot child nodes. It's going to take the index as well, dot inner HTML. So here I would say num2 is equals to num2 dot replace method. So it is going to replace same as the comma and then the empty string. Then we are going to return num1, so actually num2 minus num1, because what we are trying to do them here is trying to filter the table data according to the letter that we are trying to enter. That is what I am trying to do them here. Then we just have to look through all the things. So for that I'm going to use the for each method. So dot for each method, we are going to loop through. So this one is going to take the function. This function will have a parameter as table row. So this table row, what we can do, maybe table row is a parameter dot, we can call that as a parent element. So this table row is going to be the parent element because we are trying to filter. So that one would be the parent element. So parent element dot append child method, what we want to append them is a table row, right? I hope this one is clear. Then from there we have got those arrows down there, arrow up and arrow down for the smooth scrolling. So let me write the function for that arrow up and arrow down. So let me do this document dot query selector method. Let me just use the query selector. So here I'm just going to target the class this arrow up. I'm going to add an event so that every time when I click that up arrow, down arrow, it can respond. So the event I'm going to use them is a click event. Then it's going to call the function when I click that up arrow and down arrow. So the function, what it's going to do is I'm going to use the window method, window dot scroll to. So this window dot scroll to method would take, sorry, it's a method. So this window dot scroll to method, maybe from, when I say scroll to, it has to go to the top. So top, let me set them to 0 so that it will go to the top. When I set 0, it will go on the top, right? Then comma, I will set the behavior, I will set them to smooth. Okay, this one is okay. Then what we are remaining with is the scroll down. So what we can do, let me just copy and paste them here. Just change the names. Instead of up, this one is going to be down. Add event listener function. Then this one is scroll to. Oh, here we have to just change the properties. So this one I would say top will be the document, actually the body, it has to go to the whole body. So document dot body dot scroll height, so that it can display the whole height, comma. The next one is the behavior too. I want to have the smooth behavior, right? Let me save. I think we are good. Let me save and run. Let's see how does this one would work. I hope everything is clear. So let me open with browser. Here we go. We have the details about the country. When I click India, it's giving me the details for India, USA. There is a country for USA, Bangladesh, this one, or even Pakistan, this one. Any countries, you can find them. You can sort them. Maybe let's say yes, you can sort the countries based on the dates. It will sort the data. So when you click up arrow, it will go top 0. So when you click down, to scroll through down. It is responsive. The screen is small. The table data will be displayed in a row as you can see them here. I hope you have found it helpful. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share with your friends so that I can create more tutorial videos like this. Thank you for watching this one. Have a nice day.